My usually tall and quiet roommate was acting off. He kept looking at me with a flushed face, treating me with every kind of gentle indulgence, and he even secretly took my underwear. I pretended not to know, but my lips quietly curled up, because the puppy I spent so long baiting was finally about to bite. When I heard soft rustling in the dorm room, I sleepily lifted my curtain and looked down. My roommate, Jaxer, was bent over, putting on his shoes. He was an athletics student, always waking up early for training, very disciplined. I glanced at the t-shirt stretched tight across his body because of his posture. The shirt traced his muscles perfectly, tense waistline, defined abdomen, broad shoulders. I blinked, then cleared my throat softly. Jaxer immediately turned to look at me. He pressed his lips together nervously, speaking in a quiet voice. For someone so tall and strong, he looked exactly like a big dog who'd just done something wrong. Sorry, did I wake you? It's fine. I'm getting up for my morning class anyway. I rubbed my eyes and smiled casually. The movement made my already wide collar fall open even more, revealing my sharply defined collarbones. A pair of eyes instantly stuck onto me, warm, searing, cautious. As if unaware of the attention, I reached for the ladder to climb down from the bed. That gaze slid quietly to my back. Suddenly, my foot slipped, and I fell straight off the bed. Before I could even shout, someone caught me. My whole body landed in a broad, warm chest, a hand burning hot against my waist. Catching my breath after the scare, I looked up at the nervous Jaxer and whispered with a smile, "Thanks, otherwise I really would have been a disaster." He exhaled in relief. "It's okay, as long as you're not hurt." He was completely honest looking, but his handsome face was flushed again. I didn't let him put me down. Instead, I leaned a little closer, close enough to see the faint stubble on his jaw. "Jaxer, what's wrong? Did I bump into you? Why's your face so red?" Like someone suddenly snapped out of a dream, Jaxer jumped back 2 steps. No, I'm going to training." And then he bolted. I hooked my lips, laughter bubbling quietly. My mood was excellent. After finishing a morning class, I originally planned to return to the dorm, but instead I turned toward the sports court. As expected, Jaxer was playing ball with a few guys. Sweat, sun, energy, pure hormones. A group of girls stood on the sidelines watching. Maybe because he was sweating, Jaxer lifted his shirt to wipe his forehead, and his sharply defined abs instantly became the center of attention. "You see that guy from the athletics department, Jaxer? He's so hot. He has like 8 abs. I heard he's super honest. Never goes drinking with the other guys." "Yeah, but he's an orphan." "Ah, an orphan, so he must be poor, right?" "Well, he's still that handsome. So whatever. I'm gonna confess to him later, just watch me get him." I stood nearby, listening to every word. My expression stayed calm as I watched the game. When Jaxer finished a shot and happened to look over, he froze for a second. I curved my eyes and gave him a thumbs up. His face lit up before he hurried back into the game, and suddenly he played like he'd been injected with rocket fuel. Moves everywhere, showy enough to end the match quickly. While the other guys laughed and teased him, he packed his things but kept lifting his head, checking whether I was still there. Of course I didn't leave. I stood under the shade, smiling softly as I waited. Finally free, Jaxer excused himself from his friends and ran toward me. Standing in front of me, he tried to steady his breath, embarrassed. Probably worried his sweat would bother me, so he didn't dare get too close. "Tyron, why are you here? I passed by and saw you playing, so I stayed to watch." "You were amazing, Jaxer. You never miss." "I'm jealous," I said gently, handing him a napkin. Jaxer's face reddened again. "If you want to learn, I can teach you." "Okay, then I'll treat you to a meal as tuition." I tilted my head. He looked surprised, eyes widening for a moment before he hurriedly shook his head. "No, I should be the one treating you." I pretended to sulk. "No, don't fight me on this." He immediately fell silent, obediently walking beside me toward the cafeteria. Just then, a shy girl called out to him, the one who'd said she would confess to him. "Jaxer, could you come over? I have something to tell you." Jaxer paused. Suddenly, I let out a small pained hiss. His attention snapped back to me instantly. "What's wrong, Tyron?" I pouted weakly, lashes drooping. "My stomach hurts a little. I'm really hungry, but it's okay. Go talk to her first. I can wait." There was no way Jaxer would leave me like that. He immediately shifted closer to support me, guiding me toward the cafeteria. I turned my head slightly and glanced at the girl, a quiet, cold little smile curling inside my heart. When we finished dinner and returned to the dorm, my roommates Tavi and Elisa were in the middle of a heated conversation. The moment they saw me and Jaxer walk in, they lit up. "You guys heard? They caught a creep over at the girls' dorm." I raised a brow. A creep? What kind? Tavi grinned mischievously. Someone who's been stealing girls' underwear off the drying racks. The security guard caught him on the spot. Turns out he's a student from the next building. Disgusting. Elisa suddenly remembered something. Hey, Tyron, didn't your underwear keep going missing this past month? You think it could have been that guy too? At that comment, the tall figure next to me stiffened ever so slightly. I curved my eyes, lips lifting. It's fine. I have plenty anyway. You're really chill. I'd be so grossed out. Someone beside me darted a nervous glance in my direction, scared I might agree. Under that gaze, I calmly shook my head. It really doesn't bother me. If someone took them, they took them. Maybe because mine are expensive. My roommates burst into laughter. They moved on to another topic, and I got ready to shower. The moment I pulled off my slightly sweaty shirt from the day, that familiar gaze crawled up my skin again. Gentle, careful, overflowing with obvious admiration. I lowered my eyes, hiding my amusement. Jaxer was such an idiot. With how blatantly he stared, how could I not notice? I simply let him. After all, the best hunters often appear as prey, and Jaxer was exactly the one I wanted to catch. From freshman year, I had my eyes on him. Handsome, calm, honest, excellent. A little poor, sure, but with a ridiculous body and a naturally obedient vibe. He carried a maturity beyond his age. Shame he was a pure straight guy, but a perfect dish like him. No way I'd let him slip by. So I nudged, teased, drew him in. Him falling for me was part of the plan. Him secretly keeping my underwear, also something I knew from the start. And now, it was almost time to reel him in. When Jaxer finished showering, the other two were already snoring, but I was still awake. I sat at my desk, lightly scratching my back, looking troubled. He immediately threw on a faded shirt and walked over. What's wrong? I let out a soft, tired sound. It was so hot today. I sweat a lot, and now I think I've got a rash. I can't see it, and I can't reach it. It's so annoying. As I spoke, I reached into the collar at the back of my neck, scratching again. Red marks instantly bloomed across my pale skin, disappearing under the thin fabric of my sleepwear. I heard a subtle gulp, and Jaxer's voice turned low and rough. Don't scratch it. It'll get worse. So what do I do? I looked up at him pitifully, the corners of my eyes tinged red. He coughed twice and looked away. I have ointment. Use that. Okay. He hurried to find it for me. I went into my bed curtain area to undress and apply it. There was a long, frustrated rustling sound as I struggled. Jaxer whispered urgently from below. Tyron, still not done. I pulled open the curtain, bare-chested, sighing helplessly. In the way his breath hitched and his eyes froze, I asked weakly. I still can't reach. Jaxer, can you help me? His throat bobbed hard. How? I looked at him with watery eyes, voice soft. Come up here. On my bed. I lay down lazily, listening to him try to breathe quietly. No doubt he was red to the tips of his ears. After a long moment, he finally muttered. Tyron, I'll help you. Go ahead. With your hand. What? His voice shot up a bit, nearly waking the others. I laughed under my breath. You have to warm the ointment with your hand. Alright, my hand. Okay, just, bear with it. He took another deep breath and finally touched my skin. Guys who train a lot really do run hot. The moment his fingers brushed my spine, I shivered. He froze. Seeing I was fine, he cautiously continued, clumsy but earnest. I closed my eyes and murmured, you can use more pressure, but I don't want to hurt you. Rashes don't hurt. Okay. He pressed more firmly, calloused fingertips brushing over itchy spots, making me exhale in relief. Before I could praise him, a drop of something fell onto my back. Sweat. His. He wiped it away in a panic. I pretended not to notice. He quietly exhaled in relief. Idiot. I smirked where he couldn't see. When he finished, I began to lie down. Panicked, he stopped me. You can't lie on it. The ointment will rub off. You won't sleep well. I can't sleep face down. If it rubs off, whatever, I just won't sleep. That made him flustered. No, okay, I'll watch you. When it dries, I'll go back down. I lazily opened my eyes at him. That makes me look unreasonable. How about this? Sleep with me tonight. You hold me still, and I won't move. He froze, but after some soft coaxing and a tiny bit of feigned irritation, he agreed. Watching someone tall and muscular squeeze stiffly onto my bed was honestly hilarious. His face was nearly exploding red, still desperately trying to hide his feelings. A pure, flustered puppy. It made me want to tease him more, so I grabbed his hand and placed it on my waist. Just before he jolted away, I teased, hold me, or the ointment gets wasted. His throat bobbed again, ears crimson. He lay back down stiffly, hand trying to stay calm on my waist. Why yeah, I'm here. Sleep well. I closed my eyes, satisfied. I slept incredibly well that night, but Jaxer probably didn't. The moment daylight showed, he disappeared without a trace. He did leave breakfast for me, but I was still annoyed. Right now, he must think he's some kind of guy who likes men. Weirdo. Panicking, confused, and terrified of his own feelings. He does like me, that part is real. He wants to take care of me, that's also real. But, maybe not enough to break through that fear and confess to me face to face. So from another angle, maybe he doesn't like me that much? That thought soured my mood instantly. Looks like I need to give him a stronger push. After washing up, since I had no class today, I went to the track field to look for him. Maybe I'd catch him training shirtless. But instead of seeing abs, I accidentally ran into a girl confessing to Jaxer, the same girl who had planned to confess yesterday. She looked shy, clearly telling him how she felt. I didn't go closer, just stood there, watching, cold. With me, Jaxer is just a clueless puppy, but in everyone else's eyes, he's the campus dream guy. Handsome, calm, reliable, exceptional. Only downside is that he's poor, but everything else, full marks. Of course he has admirers. Jaxer, if you don't have a girlfriend, could you consider me? I brought you breakfast. He didn't take it. A bit awkward, but decisive. Sorry, I already like someone. My expression softened, just a little. Ah, then what is the person you like? Maybe I can try to be more like them. He's spoiled, comes from money. If something doesn't go his way, he sulks. And he's lazy. My face went instantly dark. Stupid dog, talking behind my back. But he's a good person. He's pretty, fair-skinned, and even though he gets moody, he's kind. When people mocked me for being poor, he kicked the guy until he apologized. I like the way he fusses at me without noticing, the way he glares, the way his eyes pull you in like a cat's. His hands look good. His feet look good. Even the way he yawns looks good. He's the best person I've ever met. Jaxer is usually bad with words, so this was the first time I'd ever heard him speak such a long, clumsy, heartfelt paragraph. And the expression on his face, unusually gentle. Not bad. Since he praised me more than he complained about me, I'll let it go. The weight on my chest from this morning melted away. I let a cough escape on purpose. Jaxer froze, then whipped his head around so fast it was almost comical. His face went red, then redder. The moment he realized I had seen him with the girl, he panicked and rushed toward me, desperate to explain but not knowing where to start. All that frantic energy, and in the end, he only managed. Tyron, why are you here? I glanced at him, acting wounded. Why? Am I not allowed to be here? He shook his head, then nodded, flustered. Of course you can. Are your rashes better? Much better. Just help me apply the ointment again tonight. Oh okay. Only then did I relax a little, though I purposefully let my gaze drift to the girl. Jaxer, she's still waiting for you. I'll head to the cafeteria by myself. I walked away slowly, but Jaxer frowned, acted like he didn't hear the first sentence at all, and followed me immediately, completely ignoring the girl standing there, heartbroken. I bought you breakfast this morning. You didn't eat? You have stomach issues. Skipping meals isn't good. I was pleased, of course, but on the surface, I still snapped at him. It was cold by the time I woke up. How was I supposed to eat that? That's my fault. I'll go get you a fresh one. He looked genuinely upset, like a big dog terrified he'd made his owner angry. How could I actually be angry? He confessed his feelings. That alone made me happy. Looks like the fishing game is nearly over. He's almost mine. I was still thinking about the perfect moment to reel him in, when that same girl started approaching him more and more. Well, more accurately, she kept approaching him. They were in the same student council department. She used every excuse to ask him for favors, then tried to treat him to meals. Jaxer always refused, but I still caught them together once. I was passing by the girl's dorm when I saw him handing something to her. She was smiling shyly. He was smiling politely. The atmosphere? Way too harmonious for my taste. I said nothing, just turned and left. A few minutes after I got back to our dorm, Jaxer came in too. He saw me lying on my desk, silent. He hesitated, then slowly came over. Tyron, does your stomach hurt again? I'll get you some warm water and your medicine. No need, I said coldly. I rarely speak to him like this. He immediately wilted, standing there helplessly, still worrying. Does it hurt a lot? Should I take you to the hospital? Okay. My anger softened a little, but I still shot him an annoyed look. Can't you just rub it for me? Ha! When it finally registered, he hurriedly reached out, but when his hand landed on my stomach, he was trembling. TCH. acting like this, and still daring to let other girls approach him. Shameless. I let him awkwardly bend over to help me. He was warm, too warm, even through my shirt. It felt so good I slumped against him, almost boneless. Jaxer froze, then started massaging even more carefully, and breathing quicker. I pretended not to notice and suddenly asked, "What were you delivering to that girl?" "Girl? What girl?" "The one who confessed to you. The one from your department." "Oh, she said she skipped lunch and asked me to bring her something." "Well, aren't you generous? Why don't you buy food for me every day?" My voice was pure sarcasm. He blanked for a moment, then rushed to explain. She paid me a delivery fee. It wasn't anything else." I stayed silent. Right, he's poor. He won't reject paid tasks. That thought irritated me, so I transferred a large amount of money to his account. "From now on, you only buy food for me, every day." Naturally, he refused, but I immediately looked at him with reddened eyes. "Hurt? You don't want to help me? And no, that's not what I... Then why won't you accept it?" He panicked and finally hit accept, then continued massaging me dutifully. After that day, he only bought food for me, and somehow, whatever method he used, that girl never bothered him again. Good. Smart boy. But one girl means there can be a second, and a third. Looks like it's time for the final push. Over the weekend, I waved my hand and treated the whole dorm to a night out at a bar. Tavi and the others gladly tagged along. The moment we arrived, they blended right into the crowd and disappeared in seconds. In contrast, it was Jaxer's first time in a place like this, tense and overly proper. But with his height, long legs, and that unfairly handsome face of his, he still drew a crowd. Plenty of people tried to talk to him, making him unexpectedly popular. Yet he glared fiercely at anyone who came too close to me. Ridiculously protective. It lifted my mood instantly. He noticed my relaxed expression and hurried over, a little shy. "Tyron, maybe we should go somewhere else. This place isn't very safe." "I'm not leaving. I want to stay and have fun." He immediately backed down. I leaned toward him lazily. "Jaxer, do you drink?" I can." "Then have a little." I softened my voice on purpose, coaxing him gently. He immediately got flustered and took a few sips. And then it hit him, he'd used the same glass I had. His face turned scarlet. I used your cup, sorry." He stammered like he was confessing to a crime. "It's fine. I used the same cup again, intentionally unbothered." Jaxer stared at me like he couldn't look away. Since I planned to hook him tonight, I had a few extra drinks. Soon enough, I was leaning against him, cheek pressed lightly to his neck. "Jaxer, my head feels dizzy." "You're drunk. I should take you back to the dorm." He looked down at me, genuinely worried. I shook my head, my hair brushing along his jaw. It made his whole body tense. Just as he struggled between putting an arm around me or not touching me at all, I suddenly lifted my head and looked straight at him. My eyes unfocused and soft, drifting over his brows, his nose, and finally stopping on his lips. Then I asked, sounding dazed and innocent, "Jaxer, have you ever kissed anyone?" His Adam's apple moved sharply. His voice came out low and rough. "No, me neither," I murmured, leaning closer. The space between us heated, charged with something unspoken. "I kind of want to try it. What do I do?" As expected, something ignited in his eyes. I thought he would shrink back again, but instead, Jaxer suddenly dipped his head and pressed a quick kiss to my lips. Then he jerked away in panic, only to meet my startled, sobered gaze. You kissed me?" He lowered his head, embarrassed beyond belief. "I'm sorry, Tyron. I lost control. I must be messed up. If you're angry, you can hit me. I won't fight back. If that's not enough, you can kick me too." He paused, gathering courage. "But, I want to say something first. I like you. A lot. I know I'm not good enough for you, so I just wanted to care for you quietly. But after you hit me, could you maybe give me a chance to chase you?" He finally looked up. I pretended to be stunned, but inside I was whistling happily. Mission accomplished. My clueless puppy finally dared to confess. Of course I wouldn't accept immediately, would have looked like I'd been plotting forever. So when he was seconds away from suffocating from nervousness, I finally sighed softly. "Fine, since you've been good to me." After I allowed him to pursue me, Jaxer became utterly devoted. If I said east, he wouldn't dare look west. Even holding my hand secretly required him to ask in a tiny voice. Afraid I'd change my mind. He was restless every day, eyes turning red whenever he looked at me too long. And yes, my missing underwear increased. I laughed to myself in silence. Tavi was stunned by how obedient he became and joked. "Honestly, if I didn't know better, I'd think Jaxer was your little spouse." I only smiled. Jaxer chuckled too, wandering off to pour me a cup of warm water. He watched me drink it with intense, focused eyes. A giant, lovesick puppy. Strange, but not inaccurate. Just when I was thinking about when to officially accept him, a call from my father disrupted everything. Come home tomorrow morning. No, I have class. A cold snort came through the phone. I know your schedule. I remembered wrong. I have a club meeting. Cancel it. Come home. You're having dinner with my friend's daughter. Lao Wang will pick you up tomorrow. Then he hung up without another word. Cold, distant, like speaking to a stranger, not a son. I closed my eyes, forcing down the irritation and the faint fear. But the rebellious anger stayed. My mother passed away early, and my father, rich, extremely rich, used to treat me well. I thought I was a little prince, but after he caught a teenage me secretly watching a movie with two men, everything changed. He became harsh and distant, almost disgusted, barely came home. During that time, Rysar nearly took advantage of me. I only escaped because I fought with everything I had. Thankfully, my mother had left me a large inheritance, enough to live independently. By the time I took the college entrance exam, my father's illegitimate son was already walking. But a car accident changed everything. The child became disabled, and my father, due to physical damage, could no longer have more children. So he turned his attention back to me, tried to force me into line. But the more he controlled, the more I rebelled. If he knew I was about to get together with Jaxer, he'd probably explode. Just imagining it almost made me laugh. The next morning, when I woke up, Jaxer was already gone. Probably afraid I'd be mad, he'd left me a message saying he'd gone to work and that I could call him anytime. Then he rambled on and on about a bunch of things, mainly reminding me to eat breakfast properly. I chuckled, satisfied, and strolled out of the dorm. I ignored Rysar tailing me the whole way and headed alone to the restaurant where the blind date was set. There, I met my date, a very pretty girl, but I wasn't interested. Out of courtesy, I still responded to her politely. She kept staring at me with bright eyes, occasionally giving me shy little smiles, quietly hinting that she wanted things to develop further. I pretended not to hear, keeping a polite, distant smile. Suddenly, I felt a familiar gaze from somewhere nearby. I frowned lightly and turned. It was Jaxer, still wearing his waiter uniform, tall, broad-shouldered, standing there like a storm cloud, impossible to ignore. He was staring straight at me, and when he saw the girl pick up some food for me, his expression darkened to something almost frightening. Well, what a coincidence for him to see that. I calmly withdrew my gaze and turned back to the girl. Thankfully, she wasn't dumb. After realizing I had zero interest, she found an excuse and left. I let out a breath and politely walked her to her car. Watching it drive away, I waved toward a dim corner outside the restaurant. Come here. Why are you standing there like an idiot? A tall figure stepped out of the shadows and stopped right in front of me. Jaxer looked utterly crushed and aggrieved, like an abandoned puppy. His voice was rough. Tyron, didn't you say you'd give me a chance to pursue you? I did. Then, why did you go on a date with her? I glanced at his hand, already clenched into a fist, veins standing out. Ah, big dog is hurt. I lifted my eyes to him, amused. Lower your head. You're too tall. He blinked, confused for a second, but still obediently bent down. My dad made me go. I didn't have a choice. Then, right there by the busy roadside, I tiptoed and kissed him. A little compensation. Don't be mad. That night, Jaxer was basically useless. He froze, shocked, then started trembling from excitement. After that he kept wanting to hold my hand but didn't dare. I brushed my fingers against his, voice soft and lazy. When do you get off work? I'm still hungry. Wanna grab something off campus? I can get off right now. I laughed. Don't you usually work until late? Jaxer answered honestly, eyes glued to me. But you're hungry. I have to take you to eat. Wait for me. I'll ask for leave. Then he ran back inside. A few minutes later he rushed out wearing his faded t-shirt. Warm, eager, obedient, full of energy. Those honest, pretty eyes fixed only on me, sweeping away all my irritation. Honestly, the moment I first saw this blockhead in the dorm, I had a strange feeling. Being loved by him would probably feel lucky, and I was lacking love. He was the perfect candidate to give it, so I hooked him. Fortunately, he wasn't that slow. He fell for it quickly. I watched him stop in front of me, mood brightening. Up close, he didn't look like a dog anymore, more like a wolf with glowing green eyes. This time he didn't hesitate at all. He took my hand. When he realized I wasn't pulling away, he practically lit up. If he had a tail, it would have blurred from wagging. Tyron, you kissed me earlier. Does that mean you like me too? Did I finally win you over? You guess. I guess you do. He was so nervous his grip actually hurt. I didn't scold him. I gave him the answer he wanted. Good. Not too dumb, then. He let out a shaky breath, clearly overwhelmed. Pathetic, in a cute way. He looked like he wanted to say something else, but instead just held my hand and led me away, kissing my cheek every so often, like an animal marking what's his. Any passerby who looked at me got glared at. Naturally, I didn't stop him. With my free hand, I silenced my buzzing phone and casually glanced at Rysar, who'd been following me the whole time. I began dating Jaxer, secretly, but I think Tavi and the others figured it out. Honestly, it was hard not to. Besides doing my laundry and buying my meals every day, the way Jaxer looked at me was ridiculous. Like a dog staring at a bone. Even worse than when he was chasing me. But now I could calm him down whenever I wanted. He could kiss me, hug me, lift me up, call me Tyron in that low, intimate tone. None of that shy, well-behaved act anymore. Instead, a wild, unrestrained pressure that even made me flinch sometimes. Where did the obedient puppy go? Why did he change the moment he got me? But I liked it. Loved how his eyes held only me. One day, Tavi and the others were in class, and Jaxer was at work. I was napping alone when some strange movement woke me. Startled, I opened my eyes and instinctively punched the intruder, only to realize it was Jaxer. I quickly kissed his cheek in apology, playing weak to soothe him. Sorry, I had a nightmare. Did it hurt? Of course he wasn't angry. He never really got angry at me. Always obedient, always soft. The slightest hint of displeasure from me, and he'd fix himself instantly. Even now, after a punch, he only kissed my hand gently and whispered that it didn't hurt. Then he asked what I dreamed of. I leaned against him, whispering while quietly suppressing the fear lingering from the nightmare. I dreamed of my dad. He was trying to make me go on another blind date. After last time went wrong, he didn't yell at you. I curled my lips, brushing it off. No, he only acts nice on the surface. I briefly told him about my dad and the illegitimate son. Jaxer fell silent, hugging me, quiet comfort, face darkening. He knew I didn't want to talk more, so he didn't ask. He made me feel safe. Of course my dad yelled. Hundreds of calls and messages. A whole dictionary of insults. I ignored all of them. Maybe afraid that his only healthy son would cut him off, he softened his tone later. Then resumed arranging blind dates for me. Threatening, bribing, shameless. Naturally, I didn't go. I blocked him. With his public reputation, he wouldn't dare show up at school. But I underestimated just how shameless he could be. The next day after class, I went to look for Jaxer. He'd promised to take me out for something good. But the moment I turned the corner, I saw my father, dressed in an expensive suit, looking every inch the polished businessman, standing right in front of Jaxer, hissing something at him with a cold, suppressed anger. And Jaxer, his expression was terrible. His tall frame was tense, shoulders slightly hunched, frozen in place. I rushed forward immediately, pulling Jaxer behind me as I faced my furious father head-on. If you need something, talk to me. The moment he saw me, his anger flared even hotter. But with passing students around, he still clung to that spotless image of a wealthy, respectable entrepreneur. The man who was always on finance channels giving interviews. Tyron, are you seriously dating a boy just to spite me? Who I date has nothing to do with you. My voice was ice. Break up with him. Stop doing things that embarrass me. Go to the blind date tonight and I'll overlook everything. I laughed softly. You can wait for my dear little brother to grow up and give you that grandchild you want so badly. Unfilial brat. His hand swung up, ready to slap me. He moved too fast, too close. I didn't have time to dodge. I shut my eyes instinctively, but the slap never landed. Instead, I heard a deep, steady voice right beside my ear. Sir, please, talk it out. Don't raise your hand. I opened my eyes. Jaxer was gripping my father's wrist, eyes filled with a rare, sharp anger. He was strong, an athlete, while my father was a man who spent years behind a desk. The pressure made his face twist in pain. He shook free with a furious snarl. And who exactly do you think you are? Stay out of our family business. Jaxer lowered his eyes, letting go, quiet, hurt. I glanced at him. My father must have told this dumb, loyal mutt something awful. Otherwise he wouldn't look so crushed. Tired of the scene, I spoke, cold and mocking. You knew I liked men back when I was in high school. It won't change. I won't change. And I feel nothing for that household. Donate your whole estate, I don't care. But if you come at me again, I'll expose your little secret. Let's see how a public figure like you handles a scandal. After all, you built your success draining my mother's blood dry. My father erupted into furious curses, but I ignored all of it, dragging Jaxer away. He wanted to chase us, but too many students were already whispering and staring. After a few tense seconds, he finally got into his luxury car and left, still pretending to be that flawless elite. I pulled the silent, shaken Jaxer all the way back to the dorm. Tavi and the others were likely at an internet cafe again. The room was quiet. I turned to him. "What did my father say to you?" The tall boy's eyes were red at the corners, his face pale. It took him a moment before he finally spoke, voice low and hoarse. He said, "You're only dating me to make him angry. Is that true?" I nodded. "It is." He fell silent. A deep, painful shadow passed through his eyes. I raised an eyebrow. "Keep asking." But he lowered his gaze instead, still gentle, still obedient even in heartbreak. "No, no more questions. It's all right, Tyron. As long as you still talk to me, that's enough. Don't worry about me. Are you hungry? I'll take you to eat." He turned abruptly, ready to bolt, clearly trying to escape the conversation. I grabbed him by the arm, half laughing. This pathetic, loyal dog. Even hurt, he only ever leans in closer when I push him away. My heart softened completely, warm, bubbling, overflowing. Yes, I approached him with a purpose at first. Yes, anger at my father played a part. But now the biggest reason is simple. I like him. I want to be the only one he loves, and then give him love in return. Watching this tall boy, trying so hard to look strong while falling apart, I wrapped my arms around him. "Jaxer, do I look like someone that petty? Ha, do I? No. Do you think I'd waste so much time using you just to irritate my dad? What's so special about you anyway?" He froze, then pure, disbelieving happiness lit up his eyes. "Tyron, you mean?" I ignored the way he was about to jump out of his skin from joy and quietly told him everything. My mother's sudden passing. My father discovering my orientation and immediately having a secret child with another woman. How no one cared for me afterward. How I nearly got hurt by Rysar when I was still young and unprotected. At that part, Jaxer's arm tightened around me so fiercely my ribs creaked. I tapped him lightly. "Easy." He swallowed his anger, eyes full of pain for me. "Tyron, I'll make things right. Everything you lost, I'll get it back for you. And I'll take care of you from now on. You won't be alone." "Oh, I'm counting on you then. Don't make me regret liking you." I yawned, the lightest I'd felt in years. The next day, news spread that Rysar, that piece of trash, got caught in a police raid at a massage parlor. He jumped out a third-floor window trying to run, shattered his leg, and lost his job because he couldn't drive. Then his wife found out why he got injured and divorced him on the spot. Drunk and furious afterward, he drove again and caused an accident. Straight to jail. As for my father, his secret child was exposed by his competitors. His perfect mourning widower image imploded, and his stock price nosedived. He had no time left to bother me. The timing of everything, it was too perfect. Suspiciously perfect. I narrowed my eyes at Jaxer as he was washing my socks. Could it be? No way, right? This seemingly honest, poor, loyal mutt, could he really pull strings like that? Probably not. He didn't look like someone with that kind of depth. I lounged on the bed, deciding not to ask. When he walked past, he leaned down naturally and kissed me. "My scholarships arrive tomorrow. Tyron, let's move out and rent a place. I'll get us one with a big bathtub." I tugged lightly on his ear. "Whatever you decide." Morning light spilled into the room, falling across his bright, smiling face. A little stupid. A lot irresistible. For a second, I almost felt like I was the one being lured in. Must be my imagination.
And that's where this chapter leaves us, right on the edge of a storm. For me, what stands out the most in this story is how it plays with power, desire, and fear, but wraps all of it inside something strangely tender. Tyron is sharp, controlled, and almost dangerously good at reading people. From the very beginning, he's not just waiting, he's hunting. Every smile, every little slip of a collar, every soft complaint is calculated. But what makes him interesting is that he's not doing it for cruelty. He's doing it because he found someone who makes him feel safe, seen, and valued, something he hasn't felt for a long time. And then there's Jaxer. Tall, strong, disciplined, yet emotionally, he's like a giant, trembling puppy. What I love is the contrast, physically intimidating, but so gentle he's scared of his own heartbeat. He's the kind of character who tries to quietly love someone from a distance, because he thinks he doesn't deserve them. The best part? Watching these two switch places. Tyron begins as the one in control, manipulating, teasing, pulling strings. But the moment Jaxer finally confesses, the balance shifts. That shy boy turns into someone bold, protective, and fiercely loyal. It feels like watching a candle turn into a wildfire. What didn't work as well? Maybe the pacing of their emotional shift. Everything happens fast, almost too fast. But honestly, that intensity is part of the charm. This story isn't trying to be slow-burn realism. It's a dramatic, heightened ride of tension, jealousy, misunderstanding, and longing. If you look deeper, both characters are carrying wounds, Tyron with his complicated family and constant fear of rejection, and Jaxer with his poverty, loneliness, and quiet insecurity. So when they choose each other, it feels less like a twist, and more like healing. So now I'm curious, who did you find more compelling? Tyron, with his clever, mischievous intensity? Or Jaxer, with his quiet devotion and explosive emotion? And do you think Tyron is truly in control? Or has Jaxer already changed the game?